Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. So, you may have seen that I did a video the other week for episode one of UK season six with Drag Detective, and it was such a smash success that I thought I'd have to bring someone else on to help me for episode three and maybe a little bit of episode two because I missed it because I was ill. And I thought, who better to help me than someone who rants all the time about Drag Race? So, please join me in welcoming the fabulous Matty Rants.
Hi, Matt. See, now it's Maddie and Matt. Oh my goodness. The Mattosphere.
The matosphere. I like that.
There's a lot of us Matts in the Drag Race universe for recaps and reviews. So by all means, I'm here for the Mattiverse. Mattitude. More words with Matt. Okay, I'm done. Rant.
There are a lot of us. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here. It's so exciting. It was lovely. I've watched your videos before, and I love your hot takes on things. So I thought,
Oh,
great to have you on to talk about this episode.
appreciate it. And of course, I am fully invested in the recap nation that is drag tea. This is my camera, drag tea served with Matt.
So thank you so much for coming on. It's lovely to have you here.
Go
We'll also
everybody.
go through the Have Your Say poll results. So when my audience get to vote on it as well. So we'll do that at the end. So for
Hmm.
what I'll do is because we're not going to go through the Have Your Say results for episode two because it will just take too long. So what I'll do is I will put them up in like a link in the description if people are interested just to look at that. But I thought other than that, I think it was a pretty last episode. So episode two was pretty obvious who was going to win. I think it was quite a fair result, and no one went home. So we're kind of just going to kind of go over that, gloss over that rather, and we're now going to go on to episode three, which is this week's episode. So starting off, I think the bit that obviously I think was one of the highlights or the most dramatic bit of the episode was a continuation of Chanel versus Marmalade. Chanel basically kind of throwing everyone under the bus from her group on stage, and then in Untucked plus the bit when they come into the workroom afterwards, she basically was saying that Marmalade only did like 10% of the work, and Marmalade obviously was annoyed about it.
Yeah, Marmalade wasn't feeling any of Chanel O'Connor's jam at all. And it was the fact that she wanted Lil to take the win just because it would be in spite of Marmalade because she feels Marmalade is her biggest competitor. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think Marmalade thinks of you as her biggest competitor. So this is a little one-sided. It's funny, it's one-sided, but also it's the fact that Lavoie started this conversation up the following day by going, just between us two, baby, we're in the room with everybody. You're talking to the group. And it was perfect setup. It was a perfect way to start this episode and get it hot and going. So, as much as Chanel goes in, I kind of appreciate it because there needs to be a little spice added. I don't want a best friends race.
I kind of do have to agree. I feel like Chanel for me is she's fulfilling, I don't want to call villains, I think that's a bit harsh, but she's fulfilling that role of being the dramatic one. She's making good TV. It would be boring if they all just like held hand and sang Kumbaya. And I think at the moment, at least, she's towing the line of being funny while also being a little bit on the nose. And she did kind of apologize in the episode. So she obviously realized that, like, during filming it, it's not like has apologized sort of a year later. She did apologize on set. But I was quite liking that there was a little bit of drama.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes they don't get the apology immediately. I always tell people, like, wait for the next episode because if it's untucked, that's the end of the day, and they're going to put them on ice so they can't speak. And now they have to wait till the following day to then, okay, by the way, I need to say everything I was supposed to say to you right then and there, but they told us, stop the argument, go back on stage. So a lot of people don't get that, but I understand Chanel. I think also Chanel does this thing where she goes, "That's fine." Like whenever they tell her, like, I have a problem with you, and she's like, "That's fine. Yes, you can feel that way. However, this is a competition." I'm like, "Yes, remind them, but you also don't need to do this 24/7." So I like the give and take with her.
Chanel is giving, I don't know if she's doing it deliberately or that's just her, but I love that most people go from like A to Z, but she will go from like A to C to K to pound sign back. Like she takes the route that you'd never expect. And she just comes back like, she always just says, that's okay. To like, I thought it was so funny. And I don't know where she comes up with some of this stuff, but so far I am quite enjoying it.
Yeah, it takes you off guard because you don't know how they're going to respond. But she's like, "Yeah, that's fine, babe," and then just goes it. It's like, "Oh, well, I guess we have to listen." All right, we love you, Chanel. Go ahead, O'Connor.
So yeah, so then that happened. It was that was obviously like a big part of the episode, but they did eventually sort of apologize. It was all sorted, so that's fine. But that was kind of the big, I think, part of the episode was this argument that's brewing between, and is kind of now hopefully blown over, maybe or maybe not. Hopefully,
Well, Marmalade did stand their ground, and I kind of appreciated it because it was done so politely. It wasn't rude. She didn't call her any names. She just was like, "This is how I feel. You made me feel this way. I'm not okay with that. Why did you do that? And can we move on? Because if we can't, that's fine." I said, "Okay, it's on the table. So what are you gonna do, Chanel?" Chanel couldn't do anything but apologize and move on from it because it's too she grown womaned you, as I like to say. She adult you. That's mom. She mommed you real quick, dad you real quick. Like, what are you doing, child? Are you acting up? I like that. So I was entertained by the first 5 minutes of this episode. Shout out UK.
it's a great season so far. I love the cast. I think UK always brings it, but I am really enjoying this season. So I'm glad that
Mhm.
there was something. And I think Marmalade showed, like she said, "Oh, what's the flag on the animal on the flag? It's the dragon." She
The
kind of
dragon, the Welsh dragon. Yes.
and she's basically saying, "I'm not this like little lamb that you think I am. I'm actually a dragon." I thought it was such a cool like boss move.
It was raw, raw. I'm a dungeon dragon. If she'd said that, it would have been over. It would have been over for me. But yes, I thought that was great.
Yeah, so yeah, loved that. Yeah, loved that part of the episode. And then we find out, so they do the mini challenge where they have to have like the clothes on the line. It basically has like effectively kind of titles on it of who's the most basic, who's the most whatever. I thought that was a really funny moment. I think all of the answers I kind of guessed a little bit. Like, I don't think there was any surprises, but I love the way that they basically are just saying you need to tell everyone who you think is the worst in this competition.
My highlights from that had to be Charity throwing the basic t-shirt at Zahara. Like the way she did it too. I said, "Okay, Char, this is what I want to see," because you were giving Lamb the first episode with Chanel. Now I'm like, okay, here comes the personality and not a primary color this runway either. But also it was Lavoie getting the big-headed hat and Kyron just doing it to pay a compliment, but Lavoie at first being like, "Okay, as long as it's a compliment back." She was ready, but it was a fun time. I think no one took it personally. They shouldn't have. Even Chanel took the wet blanket because, of course, what happened earlier just made sense. So that was good.
No, I quite enjoy these mini challenges where they have to kind of rank the queens in some way, or like because especially at the beginning of a season, you need there to be something to spark a little bit of whatever. And so then we find out that the main challenge this week is the acting challenge, scripted acting challenge, and they have to do Brit flicks, I think they called it, which is
Britflix.
basically like British romantic comedy type movie like, based on those. And they get put in, they obviously have to choose the two people who got chosen, got to pick their teams. So I thought we would go through each team's performance. There was the one that did hate actually, and then
Yes. 40
for 40
funerals. Yeah.
funerals and a
And
wedding.
wedding. Zahar was the one that did the Hate Actually group, and it was Chara that got the 40 funerals and a wedding. I think the Hate Actually group had the better script personally.
100%. Like,
Yeah.
it was so much better.
I liked Lil. I thought Lil did a good job. She did the work. It wasn't the biggest performance, but I enjoyed it. I thought Zahira, her performance actually was her saving grace, I think, this week for the episode, because it wasn't horrible. It was kind of mid for me a little bit. It was really Kyron and Lavoie that were running that group. And I mean, honey, that scene with the Hugh Grant and Martinez character. Hilarious. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I think, yeah, that was the group for me personally. And I even enjoyed Relisa with her little shoes on her knee, playing the little girl, and Chanel O'Connor's the flight attendant, and they're just running away from each other. It felt like a really good sketch comedy trailer for me. It honestly felt like something I would want to watch. So I liked it. I thought, hey, actually, it was the group 40 funerals.
Let's just go back to the
Okay.
let's discuss that one first. The
Okay.
hate actually. Yeah. So I agree. I really liked the kind of the Hugh Grant, whatever, which was Chiron, and Lavoie was obviously like Martine McCutcheon or whatever. I think it was Martine McLuncheon, I think was the name they gave her. They were definitely the standout two for me.
Yeah.
I thought also Chiron's makeup as Hugh Grunt, I think that was so funny, and that was very clearly the standout role. Those two.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the one
Yeah.
thing I personally didn't quite get, I don't know, maybe it was just maybe you got it. I didn't. Maybe obviously the whole thing is based on Love Actually, which I'm quite familiar with, but I didn't personally get Release's character, like the little girl stalker. I don't know if I just missed that reference.
Okay, so it's not just you, it just may be in the matosphere of things, but I also was like, there was a child in the movie that was obsessed with some grown man. I don't remember that. See, but I
No.
said, okay, whatever this is, I'm listening to, so maybe the audience can help us with this one because I said this is funny that I don't. Is this Home Alone now? Where do we go? I'm so confused what's going on, but it was still funny. I agree with you. Don't remember that part of the movie.
No, like I don't think that's from Love Actually, as far as I can remember. Like there were children characters, but I don't think any of them were obsessed. So I liked Releases. I thought she did a good job, but I just didn't think like it didn't fit to me with. But that's not her
Yeah.
fault. It's not her. Obviously, that was the script, but it didn't fit with the rest because that one. Hate Actually was very much just one film that it was based on, whereas the other team were like all different stuff. So it felt a
Yeah.
bit weird that this one wasn't. So I liked her. I thought Chanel didn't necessarily get that much airtime. She was fine, but you didn't see her much. But yeah, to me, the top two were definitely Kyron and Lavoie. I also felt like I'm looking at my notes, by the way. I also thought Lil and Zahira did a good job. Again, we didn't see them that much, and I didn't think their characters have the scope as much of maybe in some of the like of I didn't their characters in the movies are kind of nondescript a little bit, like a little bit. They're not sort of like really big, funny characters.
Yeah, because Zahira was supposed to be Kira Knightley. So I was like, so how are you going to do that? Because even Kira has problems being Kira Knightley sometimes. No shade if you enjoy her as an actress. She acts the same in every movie for me. That's my problem. That's my problem. But I thought she didn't really pick up until she started carving the turkey. Like initially it was like, okay, what are we doing over here? She has these big breasts in her sweater, this awful wig and this hat. Lil was doing her thing. I just was like, okay, what's going on? And then it picked up and I said, okay, this got good. It's funnier. I'm starting to like it. But you're right. I agreed. The Lavoie and Kyron, it was full throttle all the way from the beginning. So I said, okay, we can do this. Yeah. I'm now thinking of Release's role. I'm like, where did that fit? But it's still funny. Now you got me thinking about it, Matt. Like, oh wait, where did that go?
Yeah, I can see. I think it was a talking point because it was just so weird. Maybe they just wanted to somehow get Alan Carr into it. So they were like, "Oh, let's have someone be obsessed with Alan Carr." Maybe that's what it was because he did the voiceover for it.
Yeah.
But it was a bit random. I didn't get it, but it was a
I'll
fun
have to look it up.
performance.
I'll try to
Yeah.
find the movie that comes from, probably a movie reference. But yeah, it was still the better group for
Oh,
sure.
by far. So let's move on to the second group, which was 40 Funerals and a Wedding, which is obviously based on four weddings and a funeral. So let's go through some of so the we had who started it out? So we
Dita
had
Garbo.
Dita
Dita.
Garbo as Bridget Jones. What did you? Oh, sorry, it was just Bridget, but Bridget Jones. What did you think of that?
Dita, get up off the floor. Oh my God. I wanted her to garbo it up, but it didn't happen. Love her down, because I like Dita a lot. Hello? Oh, like what? You just found out this man died, and it was the reaction. It's the way she hung up the phone too. It was so soft. Like, oh my God, I can't. And I don't know what happened. And I know Rue told her to, hey, are you going to pick up the pace? Yeah, I'm just surveying the competition. It's an acting challenge. Go nuts. Like, do something crazy. You don't have to be too demure and mindful. And I felt bad for her. So yeah, it was a little undertone. Yeah, it was a little under for me. Love her though.
Yeah, I liked her as a contestant, but I just didn't. She knew it was not great, and but I kind of did think it was kind of iconic that she was just so like her reaction was almost so bad that it was good.
I actually played that back several times to just catch it because I said, "Is she okay? Like, what was she thinking about?" And then, mind you, you find out about the anniversary date later in Untucked. So I'm thinking, was she thinking about that when she was doing the scene, or what was taking place? I don't know. Don't want to give excuses, but oh,
Uh,
it's just so funny.
it was funny, but maybe like unintentionally funny, but it was still
Really,
funny.
it was funny, but in the worst way. Like, oh, girl, you're going home today, or possibly a contender for the bottom. Oh, but we love you, Dita. Dita. Dita.
Oh yeah, like that song and the whole like that is
It's
so good.
all in my head now. I can't let it go. Garbo.
And then after her, we then had I think was it Charity as the Vicar of Dribley.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Vicar of Dibley, the show that it's based all?
Okay, British TV. Doctor Who. Um, The end. No, I'm kidding. There's actually another show that I like, and I can't think of the name of it. That's really dramatic and funny. If you said what it was, I probably would tell you I've seen it because I've seen some stuff on the BBC. BBC. Uh, but I'm not familiar with that show specifically. No,
Yeah,
I've never
so
heard of it.
to be honest, most of the stuff in this scene was not based on a movie. Well, it's obviously based on Four Weddings and a Funeral, kind of, but the characters themselves all come from different stuff, so it was a little bit confusing.
Hmm.
So basically, it's called The Vicar of Dibley, the original show. It's a 90s slash early 2000 show about a female vicar who goes. It's a comedy about being the first female vicar in this like small rural countryside village, and all the people are quite old fashioned, and she's sort of the new woman vicar, which at the time was quite a big thing. So
Hmm.
it actually there wasn't really any part of her in this character that she was just a vicar because I guess they needed a wedding and funerals. So you didn't really miss much with that. But I thought Charity did actually do a good job, but it was nothing like the character, I don't think.
See, I wish I had that reference for what it was because I'm just watching it going, okay, so what's happening here? Why were we giving her this bad wig? What is up with the bad wigs this season for the acting challenges? Yeah, to me there was nothing other than, oh, she's the minister. Dita's crying and there's a dead guy with underwear on and there's a bulge. Okay, that was me for that scene. Like, oh, okay. Are we moving to the next one? But I thought Charity, she did decent. Yeah.
It
Her
was
runway
she did
was
what
good.
she could with what she had. It was not
Yeah.
like the best. And then we had after that, I think it would have been was it Kiki as Julian Norbert or was it
M
Marmalade? One I can't
Ma
remember.
yeah, Marmalade was on the couch first, and then Kiki walked in as Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
But yeah.
so obviously so Marmalade was Kate Winging slash Rosie, which is obviously Rose from Titanic, Kate Winslet from
Yeah.
Titanic.
Yeah.
Again, there was like not I mean, I assume you've seen Titanic. There was not apart from the reference of their like falling in the water, there was not much you can do with that character really.
Yes, that's it. Dressed like Pretty Woman low key. It was to me, I'm watching that scene and I'm like, okay. Like, okay, I get you're trying to put this all together, but I thought Marmalade actually did a good job. And honestly, I think they're a real actress, if you will, because their timing and the pacing of their words. I was like, okay, Marmalade, this is cute. Kiki came in as Julia Roberts. And I was all right with it, but I also was, I don't know, something about it to me. I was thinking, what if she does like a really harsh American accent? And as an American, I wanted to hear it. Like, come in there and sound like Julia Roberts, if you will. But I don't know. I think Kiki was working with what she got, and the script itself was.
Yeah, this I will say that you don't really have to even have seen half of these movies to really get it because this scene in general, just all the whole group, this just didn't make sense,
It
and it's not their
was
fault. It just didn't make sense.
It was weird. It's like she came in, she's like, get your single woman, pretty woman on. We're gonna hit the streets, girls. But then she's the one that ends up marrying the Hugh Grant character that Octavia was playing, which was like basically Kyron's character, but after a few bumps in the club. So I'm telling you, did you see? all that gyrating. I like Octavia, but she is such a hard mover. I don't know how to explain it for folks. When she moves, it's a very sharp movement. It's never like a soft landing. And she's and I was like, okay. It was silly, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, but overall they did a decent job with what they were given. Look at me trying to bring it
They were okay, but yeah, like you said, they weren't given the best. I mean,
in.
my I don't know about you, but personally, I'm not the biggest fan of scripted acting challenges in general. I always think
I like
they're
improv better.
improv is way
I'm the
better.
improv guy because that lets us know where your creativity comes from, and let's see how y'all do yes and. Because if you're good yes anders, oh, we're gonna laugh a lot. Example: Jinx Monsoon, All Star 7, the court scene when they were sitting in the back and RuPaul's the reporter, and that ear falls off, and she's just quick with it. Like, oh my God, you have to speak up. I can't hear. That's the kind of comedy I like to see is the, okay, that was off the riff. Let's go. So yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think this second group just didn't have great thing to work with. But like, I'm just not a huge fan of scripted acting challenges in general. So I think
Yeah.
they did well with what they could, but I don't think was there a standout in this group? Would it have been Marmalade? Do we think maybe?
Yeah, Marmalade would probably be the standout for me out of, ooh, I have to think about the entire group. A, B, C, D, Marmalade. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
It
I
was,
think she really I think was the only I think Charity did fine as the vicar, but she again it didn't really go anywhere. It was just her being Charity being funny in like you
yeah.
said in like a funny wig and a vicar's
It,
costume.
and it was, doing the full bit. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. But also, when she ended up on the couch with Marmalade and Dita's character, and they're like, I didn't understand that. I'm like, so wait a minute, you buried the husband, but then you came over to have tea with her and talk about this man. And then Julia Roberts comes in and makes the, ladies of the night. And then the pastor just sits there. That was weird, but okay. We watched.
It didn't really make sense, I agree, but you know. So anyway, so that was like that was it. So let's move on to the runway for this week. So
Yes.
the theme was New Romantic. So for anyone who doesn't know, New Romantic was kind of a British underground movement that happened in kind of like the late 70s, early 80s. And it was kind of more flamboyant, eccentric, a lot of pirate themed outfits, not just pirate, but that was a big thing. And a lot of people like Duran Duran, who was obviously the guy who was the guest judge, was in Duran Duran. They were a big part of it. And then you had people like David Bowie and things like that. So, and then they quite often they had like the makeup on the face. Boy George was another big one. So this was something I was quite excited about because I wasn't around back then because I'm too young, but I certainly like was. Well, I was almost like, well, not quite, but at the tail end, perhaps.
He's old enough to have this conversation over. Well, not fully, but at least I'm aware of the new romantics. I didn't understand what it was until recently because wasn't aware that Prince was also a part of somewhat of the aesthetic and style for that. And we had him in the States where it was that sort of flamboyant, and that's a good way to describe it versus like cross-dressing, a more flamboyant way of dressing, very long sleeves and frills and makeup and the hair is teased and it's giving a little, what is happening here? They're making me feel a little strange. Yeah, I actually lived for this category, to be honest with you, and I'm glad they did it. And I felt it was an educational moment for us that are not aware of what it is. I hope we learned something.
No, I really enjoyed it as a category. So I thought let's go through each queen. So we've
Yeah.
got up, so I'll put up some reference images and we've got some reference images to look at as well. So let's go through we'll go through them in order in which they came in. So first up we had Lil. So what did you think about Lil in this kind of pirate inspired look?
God, Lil is just the vibe. I love Lil. This is a Lil stan right here. I'm just going to tell you this now. Didn't know who she was until this season. She can do no wrong with me. I like everything about this. Love her makeup. Love the fact that I can see the reference. One of my only issues with this outfit is at the bottom, it felt like she was struggling a tad bit to walk in it because it seemed a bit tight in those quarters. And I wish that what was happening with the train didn't feel like it looked like a mass clump of poop. But other than that, I thought it was giving and I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
Me too. I love Lil. Lil is one of my favorites. She's so cool and chill, but is also really amazing fashion and like really interesting because she's quite, you can tell this like she's got kind of a slight grungy alternative, but in a really polished way. So I'm really a big fan of Lil.
I just feel like she owns a block of salons and like studio apartments somewhere. And like, that's the cool neighbor you want. Like, you're walking outside and she's smoking a cig. You're like, oh, yeah, what's up, Lil? Like, I would want to talk to Lil if I saw her in the streets. Shout out to Lil. Sorry, you're one of my favorites from the season. I was not aware of how much I was going to love her, but I was like, oh my God, I live for her. Live for Lil.
Me too. I also live for Lil. So next we have Lavoie. So what do you think of her?
Happy that we're getting quickly, happy we're getting her this way versus Queen of the Universe. They didn't do her justice. I think Lavoie's getting a great edit on this season. Um, I'm here and then not so queer for the rest of this outfit. I like it. Shoulders, waist, skirt. I wish there was something else going on downstairs, something about it being so peak. I don't know, something about the bottom half of it. I want more to be going on, but I think that she looks really good. I get the reference too. I think the wig is fabulous, makeup's great. Something about that panty showing down there for me, which is a part of the white look. I need some pleat, something down there. I don't know, but I like it. I'm not mad. I just have a critique about the bottom half. Like, I want something right in that panel because it's given diaper when she turns a little bit. But other than that, I like this. A little dipe, little depend. Lisa Rinna. All right,
Or
last question.
nappy, as we would say in the UK.
Oh, wait, what is that? Nappy or nacky? Is that right?
Nappy, Nappy is a diaper in the UK.
Oh, so y'all say, okay, see, in the States, that means something different. All right, thank y'all. Okay, I will put that in my repertoire of knowing if someone ever used that in the UK. We talk about typos. But yeah, it's giving little pamp.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It's like it's okay. Like I said, I didn't quite think it looked as finished because it just looked like she was wearing a little almost like a skirt but nothing underneath it. But it was, other than that, I liked the hair and everything was very much new romantic. I liked that.
Yeah, yeah, it's the category. Just wanted something different down there. A little sweet.
Moving on, so we had Release the Slaves. So what did you
Uh,
think of Release? Because RuPaul described this as saying it almost looks a bit clownish.
I actually like this outfit, and I appreciate her for always representing and having the colors in the outfit too. I have a little bit of a biased nature because every time I see her hit the runway, I'm like, that is Rihanna. You cannot tell me different. That is tall Rihanna. That is large Rihanna. That is in the Pokemon universe. That is a what is it? Gigantamax Rihanna or some sort of bit here. That man is fine. Whoever released it is, you fine, sweetie. So I'm gonna be a little bit hard to judge. I will say I can understand where RuPaul is coming from. However, I thought this outfit was fantastic. I don't know why. I thought it was fantastic. But I can kind of see it, maybe. Nah, it's great. Decision made.
I like the outfit. I think it's well made. It looks great. Love that she's representing St. Lucia. I maybe a
Mhm.
tiny bit. I can see it looks a bit like circus tent because of the shape and the color a little bit, but I'm not sure I'd say she looked clown. It just looked, yeah,
I
maybe
feel
it didn't
like
quite scream new romantic, but it
like
was.
we it's feel like we liked it, and then when Rue said something, we were like, oh, now we need to think about this. Like it. Go, Relisa.
Okay, so next we had Zahira Sapanta. What do you think of that?
Chop. Oh, this is not my show. Excuse me. Explain, Matthew. Chop. Baby, you got long sleeves and underwear. Boo. Boo. Your makeup is great. That wig belongs on Sarah Paulson in American Horror Story Hotel. That's it. All right? Boo. But I love her. It's just the mug. That's it for me. Everything else can burn in hell.
I wasn't a fan of the like RuPaul said it needs something at the bottom, but the makeup I think was almost maybe one of the best of all of them. It was so new romantic, like really good.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah, her makeup was great, but everything else,
not so great.
no, girl.
Then next was Kyron Thrax.
My obsession. Kyron is another mood on the show. Again, they have great personalities this season. I live for this because it really doesn't have a shape, but it looks like it has multiple, almost as if they deconstructed the original shapes and said, "No, I'm gonna do it this way. Ah, this is where they think it's gonna go. No, I'm gonna change it for that." It looks messy, but in the best way possible. It looks not constructed. Excuse me, deconstructed, but fully constructed. It looks shaped and not at the same time. I like that it makes me think. I live, actually. I do agree with the makeup bit though, even though I like Kyron's makeup. I'm with Michelle. A little change and then go right back to what you're doing because they like that stuff. Like, oh, I changed it for you one day and I went right back to my makeup. But other than that, I thought it was fabulous. Love the color story too.
I love Kyron. Kyron, I think, is going to be one of my favorites. Probably going to make it to the end. I think that's my guess.
I
Love this.
agree.
I thought, like I said, it looks like a mishmash of different styles and outfits, but somehow it works together. So she's obviously got a really great eye for detail and design and things. So yeah, this to me was a great, maybe one of my favorites of the week.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on, so we had Chanel O'Connor next with the tie dress, I guess. What do you think
I
of, oh, skirt, sorry. What do you think of this?
I think Chanel's wig is heaven for one. I'm from Texas, so I love big hair. I wish the skirt was a little bit longer. I know she's proud of her. I found ties and made a skirt out of it. Innovation. I'm happy for her too. I kind of wish there was more ties on the skirt, but overall, to me, I kind of lived for this look. I love Chanel's taste in a way. I can see her. I get the full bit. Like I get it, Chanel. I see you. I liked it. I just wish the skirt was just tad bit longer. Tad bit longer. But other than that, I think I like this. Yeah.
Moving on, so we had Marmalade next. What do you think of Marmalade?
My favorite outfit of the night. This is my favorite outfit of the night. Marmalade, like you must stop. Marmalade, you must stop. You're too sweet. Oh my goodness, this beautiful, beautiful from the makeup to the wig to the outfit itself. The color palette is gorgeous. I love that there's tchotchkes on that were painted gold to give, like from far away, it looks like it's something completely different. But if you get closer, it gets very campy. It gets a little kitschy. It's so good. You are so, you are so good. I love it. I'm sorry. That's okay. That's it, Matt. Point.
I loved it too. No, Marmalade is great. I love, like you said, I loved the little decorations and adornments on the shoulder. And she said she bought them from a charity shop, and the fact that she spray painted them, but they looked so. It like you said, it was kind of campy when you look up close, but you were always finding new stuff to look at on the outfit. It wasn't just like, oh, that's it. You were constantly finding stuff. I love that sort of thing.
Mhm. Yes, I like a Where's Waldo in design. Like what? Oh, what is that? There's a duck on your shoulder. Quack out of here. And then we move down there and see possibly something else. It's so cool. Marmalade's mine. I think Chanel too. I can see why Chanel wants to compete with her. It's good. I love it. Everybody can sew.
And then
hmm
moving on, we had Actavia. What do you think of Actavia?
I was happy there was a Prince reference. The end. So, okay, not to shade Actavia because I love her spirit. I love that her eyebrows are in constant what position? It's for me, it's not about Actavia's clothes because let's be real, her first runway when she was the Whales Dragon, fabulous. Um, it's how she walks for me sometimes where it's really hard. Like, I gotta show you in the movement. She be and I'm like, are you okay, sis? And then she be hitting it. And I'm like, okay now. Like give me a little soft or give me a little soft. So sometimes her presentation ruins it for me. I think the outfit's fine. I think she gives Layla McQueen doing Prince on Halloween tees. No shade. And I love you, Layla. No shade. I'm all right with it. I got to keep it all right. It was presentation with a chop, but I thought overall it is so much better than that wig situation, the outfit that you made last week. So I got to say, it's going up from here.
And then next we've got Dita Garbo.
I love this.
I
To
did as
be
well.
honest, I thought,
I thought she maybe almost was the most new romantic of everyone, almost.
Everyone's saying that because I'm of course new to this, but everyone in my comment section was like, Matt, this is so new romantics. It's like
It kind
on
of
the money.
is.
Like even the makeup too, everything
Yeah.
about it. I love Houndstooth as well. I'm a Houndstooth fan. So Dita, this was top marks for me. I was thinking maybe you were gonna be saved with your look, but no.
Yeah. We'll get on to that in a minute. But yeah, for me, this I actually really liked the outfit. Not so much the performance, but this outfit was probably one of the best because it was so on the money. And then we had who was next? We had Kiki Snatch next. What do you think of Kiki?
Oh, I was loading. Oh my goodness. No. Sorry. No. I'm not even gonna chop it. I'm just gonna say no. I love her confidence. I appreciate her for walking down that runway and honestly moving beautifully. The outfit cannot move with you beautifully though. Uh Ugly. Shoes, chop, pants, why? Top for what? Doily. Huh? Confusion. Her makeup was great, wasn't the category, nothing about it was the category for me. I thought she was going to an event somewhere to perform on a Wednesday or possibly to a pride event that may be a little chilly. Other than that, I don't know where she was going, but do you really want to hurt me? It's really what I was thinking. All right, last joke.
It was not my favorite. It kind of looked a little bit like
What is this? Matt,
yeah.
it's what are we what's the reference? They said new romantics, and I'm like,
I don't know.
where are you going?
Let's just say this was not my favorite, and I think that's all that needs to be said about this one. And then finally, moving on to Charity.
Loved
Yeah,
it.
it's
Loved
very Lee Bowery, like she said. It was so like not a primary color, but I thought it was just so amazing and like it really fit the reference. It brought in Lee Barry, which is a completely different like another reference to get on top of it as well. So I really loved it, and the construction was amazing.
I hate that I shade her for the primary colors bit, and it's only because I hated her first entrance outfit. But I have to say, I'm starting to see her also being a designer, like also Chanel and Marmalade, as she says she sews her stuff too. And I was so impressed with the details of the outfit. It was perfectly done, and the makeup looked good under the mask. Face Kini makeup is hard to give sometimes because sometimes it's like, girl, did you even put any on? I was impressed, Cheryl. I had to be quiet. I was like, okay. I can't wait for next week. We've got good outfits, y'all, and she's getting up there. Maybe she's gonna ramp it up. I like that. I was like, okay, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
So
I loved this was again. I loved this outfit. So I think it was actually a pretty good show for most people. It was actually a really good. I loved the theme, but it was good for everyone. So
yeah,
so in terms of the actual kind of the outcome of the episode, we had the winner was Kyron Thrax. But then we
yeah.
also had Dieter and Kiki in the bottom two. And then they lip synced to Girl on Film by Duran Duran.
I enjoyed the lip sync because I love the song, and I thought Dita did a good job. I think I was more entranced with Kiki. That could be because of the edit, and I think also because Kiki was doing choreography specifically to the words. So I'm like, oh, you know this song. It's like got you on the film. I'm like, okay, so she's big. I thought that was fine. Some of the stunt work, I was like, girl, what are we doing? This is Duran Duran. You don't have to do all that extra. This is not necessary. But then for Dita, to me, I think if we're going to be honest, I think they were already ready to just let her go. So she could have performed very good. I don't know if they were going to keep her, and that's just storyline wise. But I enjoyed the performance. I just like the song, so it's helpful when you like the song. You're like, oh my God, it's lip sync. So I don't know. It was fine. It was fine. Not my favorite. Better than last week.
It was fine. Like I said it's a slightly odd song in the sense it's a good song, but it's quite mid tempo. And I feel like yeah, Kiki was maybe doing a bit too much, but then Dita kind of wasn't maybe doing quite enough. So it was sort of. But yeah, I agree that Kiki should have stayed. 'Cause I think it was obvious that Dita was kind of a little bit was not in her element. She was obviously in her head, and I kind of felt bad for her. So I can see why they maybe chose Kiki over her,
Yeah.
but still sad to see her go. Anyway, so I think I personally, I think the tops and bottoms were pretty much agreed with it. So let's
Okay.
move on to the Have Your Say poll, and we will talk about
Yay.
this is my audience voted on.
Ooh.
So question one was which of the two trailers was the best? And we have, by the way, Matty doesn't know the results of these polls. This is the first time he's hearing them, so I'm telling them to him. So,
Mhm.
of the two trailers, which one was the best? Hate actually got 88.5%, and then 40 Funerals and a Wedding got 11.5%.
Yeah, so it's really Love Actually for real though, right? No. I mean, we agreed because Hey actually had the better script. Don't want to say the better cast, but I am. And so that's what we got. So I agree with your audience here. It is definitely Hate Actually for the win.
Yeah, definitely. That was no question. Question
Mhm.
two was who did the best overall, like of any group? And we had Kyron Thrax with 58.5%. Then we had Releasa Slaves with 16.2, and then Marmalade with 10%.
Wow. Okay. Kyron for sure definitely was the best. I'm glad we got Relisa into this poll as far as who did well. Marmalade too. I'd say if we had another option, Lavoie, I'd have put in there for
She was
percentage
fourth.
wise.
She was
Ah,
fourth.
there we go. Okay, so I agree with the audience here. Look at us agreeing with each other. I'm so not used to this. Oh, that's great. We're talking about Drag Race UK.
I agree. I think I'm not sure if I agree with the ranking itself, but the top four I agree with. I think Kyron was the best. Lavoie maybe would have been my second with Marmalade, and I
Hmm.
think Releasa would have been a fourth for me.
Yeah,
But other than
okay.
that, good. Question three was who had the best runway? This one was I thought, quite difficult to judge, but I agree with the results.
Ooh.
But 46.9% said Marmalade.
Hey, 46. Y'all my people. Okay, sorry.
Second place was Kyron with 16.2.
Yep.
And then third place was Charity with 10.8.
Charity. Yes. Okay. I'm with the group. Yep. I'm with the group on this one. They were chewing, they were eating, they were fed.
Yes, I really liked Marmalade. Although I will say, of everyone, like I said, I did actually think Dita was the most on point with the actual
Mhm.
runway category, but maybe the look wasn't quite up to par for someone like Marmalade, whose was just amazingly polished and really cool. So I can see why people voted for that.
Yeah.
Question four was, do you agree with the winner? And 73.8% said yes, and 26.2% said no. So it was still about a quarter said no.
I wonder who they thought should have had that win
We
over
get well,
Kai.
that's question five.
Ah, see?
So I do agree though with the winner personally. I think Kyron deserved it, so I would have been
I
in
do
that
too.
part. Question five was if you answered no to the previous question, who do you think should have won instead? Now, most people voted for NA because that was people who did agree. So if we remove that, the next person after that was Marmalade with 10.8%.
Okay.
Then it was Releasa with 7.7%. And then after that was Lavoie with 6.9%.
See, there they go. Okay. As far as Kyron winning, it does make perfect sense. I can totally see Marmalade winning this episode. If Relisa had won, I would have been happy because I like Relisa. I would have raised an eyebrow a tad bit based off of the critiques. Like, that's a little different. But I think that I do want to see Relisa get a win. Relisa win, please. I am corny. Please forgive me.
I love it. I'll put in like a little
Yeah, because that I am literally Fozzie Bear in my head. So not every joke is great, but they're all funny to me.
No, so this part I do agree. If it hadn't been Kyron, I probably would have given it to Marmalade or maybe Lavoie. So I could get that. I agree with that part.
Okay.
Question six was, do you agree with the bottom two? And we had 81.5% said yes and 18.5% said no. So
Yeah, Zahira had a better day than Kiki and Dita did. I think Zahira's outfit was not as whole. horrible, if you will, as Kiki's, and her performance was better than Kiki's. And if I compare it to Dita, Dita did not do well at all in the acting compared to Z. And then as far as the look goes, Dita did beat her, but I think they were focusing on the acting challenge having more of a percentage in this case. So
I
yeah,
think so. So
yeah.
yeah, I personally did. I think I did agree with the bottom two actually. So that pie I agree with. And then there's the next question, which was question seven, is if you said no, you did not agree with the bottom two, who do you think should have been in the bottom instead?
Hmm.
And the person who got the most votes was Zahira Zapanta with 11.5%. Then it would have been Chanel O'Connor with 3.1, and then Charity with 2.3.
Oh, oh. First of all, I'm not having two Filipinos go back to back, so that's not happening. Not for the first, not for the second episode. No. Third of all, I understand where y'all are coming from with your opinions. But yeah, I see some of y'all just don't like Chanel. Oh, and maybe Charity, I understand, but I think Zahir would have been the other option. I just, for me, I wouldn't have wanted to see her and Kiki do a lip sync to Duran Duran. I just don't know if Zahir would have rolled into that right, and we probably would have got some stunts that even more than we got that were completely unnecessary. No shade. So I'm kind of
Yeah,
like,
I kind of can see why they're saying. I think Zahira definitely would have been like the next person to be in the bottom, but I don't think she
mm.
deserved it this week. I think she just about saved herself with her performance. So
And her banter with the judges. A lot of y'all are not
yeah,
clocking this.
that's true, actually.
They love her. They love talking to her. And I'm telling you from my own experience of some of these queens talking to me, Matt, when Rue starts to speak to you, lock in because that means, okay, she likes you. She's going to remember your face at least. So that way it's like, I might want to see her again. And we need to bring her back.
Yeah, I like it as a person. Zahira's got so much energy. She seems like very sweet and very like happy to be there. So I do love her, and I'm glad that she stayed to slay another day. So.
Yes.
Question eight was who won the lip sync, in your opinion? And we had 89.2% for Kiki Snatch and 10.8% for Dita.
No, I agree with the poll results there. Kiki snatched that win. Anywho, all right, my
And
bad.
then the last question for the poll is, and then we'll go on to like the comments. The last question was question nine, which is who is the front runner in your opinion? In other words, the most likely to win. And we had 80.8% for Kyron Thrax. And then it would have been Lavoie 6.8% next. And then it would have been actually a tie for third place between Lil and Marmalade.
Mm. I would keep the same group and throw Relisa into this conversation.
Relisa would have been next after that. So she was fourth. She
Yeah.
got a 1.5% of what was left.
Because I am really enthralled by Kyron's energy, confidence, and just the way that they present themselves through the show. They totally don't take this seriously, but at the same time, totally do. Lil is just the right kind of stuff, right? And so is Marmalade to me. And Release is also, I don't know, this is actually a great season of good not representation, but more so I don't want to put them as characters, but yes, characters in a reality TV show with personalities that are all somewhat relatable in a sense. And it doesn't feel like we're watching like opposite ends of the earth fight each other. I don't know. I kind of like it. This is an interesting cast. Interesting season. It could be anybody except for in that one. But other than that, yes. That was my way of avoiding who did Maddie say? Don't worry about it. You know the three. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with this. I think, yeah, to me, I think Kyron is, from what we've seen, I think she's going to win. And she is the drag daughter of Charity Case, who I think is one of the most mistreated queens on Drag Race that there's ever been. And I'm
I
so glad that
love
she's getting the props that her drag mother should have got.
I love Charity Case. I'm sorry, we love Charity Case on the season. Trust me. I remember the lip sync and everything. I said, "Oh my God." But I don't know. You are right. That was a weird season. All of a sudden it was we live and then it was, can you change this? Can you do that? Can we get this done? I'm like, you liked it at first. Now what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
uh
So anyway, I personally think that Kyron is going to win, to be honest. Like from what we've seen, unless something changes, I think she's certainly going to be in the top two or three, I
I,
think.
I'd be happy with that if they
Yeah.
won. Honestly, Lavoie too would be a great decision. I'm a lot of these people on here. I'm like, okay, get your money because I'm glad y'all are getting money now. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, before just the badges, I felt so bad for them. I'm glad they're now getting some actual money.
it's like a podcast and a trip to LA. I'm like, all right, is that to DragCon or is that is that like just for funsies? Like, what are we doing today? So I am glad y'all are getting coin too. I know it's funded by the Bay Bay Say. Sorry, Kitty, you got me saying it that way, but I'm happy.
Yeah, me too. Moving on to the comments because they're kind of related to what we were saying. So there were quite a few. By the way, these comments were all anonymous from the. I don't know who said what because it's just on the Have Your Say poll. Some people were saying I think Kyron was better, but Marmalade was very close. So they were saying I guess they agree with Kyron being the winner, but they thought Marmalade was going to be number two, which is kind of what we
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, we're on the same team with them.
Someone said Lavoie should have been in the top.
I agree with that.
She definitely had. I think I can see why she didn't get it over Kyron because I think Kyron just did that extra bit to make it really funny. But I think she had not only probably the most iconic character from the whole of Love Actually or Hate Actually, whatever, but I think she delivered it really well. And she's obviously incredibly funny and talented. So I'm a big Lavoie stan.
Hmm.
And then coming on, I've got a few kind of slightly shady slash maybe slightly controversial comments. So someone said, I was obsessed with Chanel O'Connor on episode one. By episode three, I think she's rather unpleasant and mean. I don't know if it's just the edit or not, but it's not a good look for her.
That's their opinion. They are entitled to have it. I think that some people's version of mean is a bit limited to the amount of approach, if you will, where it's like if somebody says one thing, then it's like, oh my God. I think Chanel's good at starting mess. I think she's good at also reeling it back in. But if you take her as being that nasty, just don't send her hate.
I think it's one of those things. It's like you've got to have someone on the show who's going to cause a little bit of drama, otherwise it's boring. But don't like, but just enjoy it and watch it, and like have a kiki about it in your own, like with you and your friends. You don't have to go
Yeah.
online and tag people and be mean in the comment. Just
Oh,
watch it and accept it that it's a show about people on TV with dresses and wigs and all that. Like it's just a fun TV show.
I mean, sometimes, like, yes, it can be little, oh my God, this is so unbearable. But there are those folks that get on television that we end up loving later or possibly, like down the line because we know what they do when they come to television. I hate to bring Omarosa into this conversation, ugh, but I'm like that with her. I can't stand that woman. But anytime she's on a show, I need to watch because I know she is going to bring a level of absurdity and drama. And I want to see it. So I'm going to be mad and yelling at my TV, but I'm also going to realize that's who she is on this television. This is who she's portraying herself as for us. And Chanel wants us to believe that, honey, she is the poop. I don't know. I can't swear on this channel like I do in mine, but she thinks she is that girl. She is the one. No one can touch her. But that's that. I mean, but I get it though. I don't know. I'm protective of the meanies, I guess.
I personally think you need someone who's going to bring the drama. I think at the moment, like I said earlier, she's towing the line between being funny while being like not mean, but kind of bringing that energy. And I think she's actually maybe being herself. I don't think she's putting it on. Like some people
Yeah.
are putting on being nice or always overlooking someone coming at them, and that's not actually what they're really like. So I feel at least she's being authentic. We'll see how that progresses and whether she kind of becomes too mean or is not funny enough to back up being that shady. Because if you're shady, you also need to be funny. And I think so
True.
far she's done that quite well, but you it can go the other way. But I think at the moment I quite am enjoying Chanel.
Yeah, and we don't agree with every point of view that she has, but it's just the way it's presented as to why I'm like entertained by it. Because I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? But it's so funny because she's dead serious. It's like, okay. But I get it.
Yeah, me too. And then the last comment, this comment was quite interesting because it was quite sort of I could understand what they were coming from, but I also felt like I'm not sure I quite agree with the actual outcome of what they said. They said some of the placements were confusing this week. Zahira should have been in the top, not the bottom. Marmalade in the top was a choice, and Releasa deserved to win this week.
Well, hey, I want to know what show you're watching. And can I borrow your eyes for a second? And that is not shade, but I want to feel what you're feeling. What are your lucky numbers for a lotto ticket? Because baby, you are a winner. I don't know what are we talking about? No, I'm just playing. But Zahir in the top is laughable, only because there is underwear on the stage and a boot and a long sleeve. She literally held her arms like this, y'all, and said, "We, no." And then, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna take it back, Matt. That's how they feel. You know what? You're right. You're right, but you were wrong. You're
Each to
right.
their own.
Yeah.
The reason this one stood out to me is just because I kind of didn't really agree with any part of what they said, but I can see why they said it. Like, I think Marmalade did deserve to be in the top, but maybe not to win.
Okay.
Zahira should not. I don't think she didn't deserve to go home, but she should have been in the bottom. She was deservedly in the
Yes.
bottom. Release to win.
Uh,
No.
Could have happened, but it didn't say top three for the lip sync, did it? No.
If it was top,
So,
if it was top, like if it was like a joint win or something, maybe she could have been up there because she was funny. But was she as funny as the people who were in the top, like Kyron and Lavoie? No, I don't think so. Personally, I thought this comment, whoever you are who commented this, I don't agree with you, but I love to be inside your mind for a minute because
I got to. We got to be in there. No shade. I would love to know all views, all point of views. Like, please, like it's great to hear that that is somebody's. Why am I being? I feel like I'm being nasty about this, but no, it's the truth. I'm like, I want to know because how'd you get that? But I like it. Shout out to you, babe. For real, for real. I promise. I'm just like, Zahira in the top. She needed bottoms to be in the top, sweetie. See, that's the joke. That there we go. All right. Love you, whoever you want. Thank you, Matt. Doop doop. I get to walk away back to Kermit's house.
But I just want to say thank you so much, Matty, for being on my channel. I've loved having you on here. It's been so lovely to get your rants and hear all about your opinions of this season. For any crazy people that maybe don't follow you or don't know who you are, can you maybe tell people the type of video you do and where they can find you on the internet?
I review LGBTQA plus content with it being more focused into the Drag Race universe. But I used to, when they were on the air, cover shows like Pose that was on FX and shows like Legendary. So as someone who used to be in the ballroom scene is also currently diving into the drag universe. Y'all know my drag mother is Honey Davenport and my drag name is Piece of Cake. And I had my debut last year, I believe, at Bitchin'. Shout out to Bitch Puddin'. We love her. You can catch me covering Drag Race, Dragula, and any sort of reality TV show, whether it's a live stream where you can be a part of the live conversations or an edited review where we just get to the point, honey, and I throw a whole bunch of jokes at the air, at the wall, and let's see what hits. You know what I'm saying? You can catch me on YouTube. Uh, Patreon for reactions and honestly, Cameo merch available at dragqueenmerch.com. And I'm an affiliate partner with Paramount Plus.
Because I love your channel, I love your rants. I've caught quite a few of your live streams and stuff, and you always have something really funny and interesting to say. So it feels like you're sitting with your friend who has a lot of opinions about it, and you just want to like sit and watch them just go off about it. So I love watching your live streams, and some of your videos are just so funny. So I'm so glad to have you on to share in your rants.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here for the metaverse growing, and I'm glad I got to be here with you. I have a respect for your content. For me, when it comes down to breaking down things quickly, what's that? So so I'm always appreciative of your channel and others. Shout out to the other drag race YouTubers out there too in the drag race universe, because you already know. I know. When you don't say what everyone likes, it goes a little crazy, but we're out here just trying to make a living like everybody else. And I appreciate you, Matt. And please continue doing what you're doing because, we need more content. We need whatever we can watch. Somebody doesn't want to watch me, they can watch you, vice versa. Watch us at the same time. Get your Matt world on. That's not as good as Metaverse, but we'll keep it. Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you having me here today, and thank you. This was so much fun.
Thank you, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on. And I was wondering if maybe you could see us out by giving us one word to sum up your experience and your feelings from this episode.
Feelings from this episode. Garbo.
Dita, Dita, da 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 Dita.
Garbo.
Thank you so much, Matty. Bye.
Bye.